The Prime Minister has defended bringing forward his £12 billion scheme to offer government guarantees on home buyers' deposits to coincide with the opening of the Conservative Party conference. The plans, advanced by 3 months to begin next week, will mean that banks will be able to offer loans to buyers providing just 5% deposits. But critics say the move could fuel a new house price bubble. Our political editor, Gary Gibbon, reports from Manchester.
Solid.
The government's bringing forward the full rollout of the Help to Buy scheme, just when many are arguing it should be stopped altogether. David Cameron says the scheme's needed to help people who want to buy a house and can afford the mortgage repayments, but not the 10% plus deposits now being demanded by many lenders. The bank started advertising the scheme today. The government insists it won't cause house price inflation and will prompt house builders to up their construction work.
We are a very long way away from a housing bubble. Talk of that seems very remote to people living in Oldham or in Bury or in Bolton.
Outside marchers against NHS reforms and cuts tried to make the Tories feel as unwelcome as possible. Ed Miliband's been trying to complicate David Cameron's political work here as well, attempting to shift the focus of the political debate away from the deficit and onto squeezed living standards. The Prime Minister described Ed Miliband's corporation tax rise as nuts and said frozen energy bills were not the answer to squeezed household incomes.
The only way to sustainably raise living standards is to keep the recovery going, and the economy is now moving, to keep on creating jobs, and we're creating those jobs, to keep on cutting the deficit, because that keeps interest rates and, crucially, mortgage rates low, and to keep on cutting people's taxes.
In his interview, the Prime Minister also said he was ready to look at workfare, compulsory work for the long-term unemployed. And he said he was minded not to have TV debates between the party leaders in the general election campaign itself next time round. The Prime Minister also said he'd be ready in the future to lead a Tory government out of the European Convention on Human Rights. The campaign to save the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Fusiliers briefly moved inside the conference hall during the Defence Secretary Philip Hammond's speech.
Gentlemen, would you like to sit down? Would you like to sit down? I'll come and talk to you happily later on. Let me complete my speech. Thank you.
Earlier, Philip Hammond had called for IT experts to join the reservist forces to help fight hostile cyber attacks. Speaking in private to party activists just before this conference began, the Prime Minister said that squeezing the UKIP share of the vote was the main political mission now. He warned them that it might not happen anytime soon. They must hold their nerve. UKIP's vote could get bigger before it gets smaller, and the squeeze may only come, if it comes at all, in the last few months before the general election. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester.